What is going on, Alpha Hunters? Hope everybody is doing well. Actually, no, it's not Wellness Wednesday. I'm getting really confused on all these days. It's like the same day every day. Um, uh, it is Fantastic Friday. We're gonna go with Fantastic Friday. Nice little gap up today. Didn't really do too much on the intraday price action bullish. We traded a little slightly bullish over the first 45 minutes or so. Nice little pullback. Then for about 30 minutes after that, and then not too much kind of going on today. That's about the main thing. We did get a little bit negative twice today. About an hour and 15 after the market had opened, and then about an hour ago. So, yeah. We'll see how the market ends out today. I don't imagine to see crazy bearishness, except for maybe on the IWM. IWM not looking super strong today. The interesting thing about the IWM, kind of talk about this over the past couple of weeks. Like, this is not the area to be long, but I did kind of mention, like, if it broke through this area, right? If it did get through this like 189, 190 type area, which it did make a run up to like 193.50, that's a pretty good breakout because it also did clear this high. What I would really like to see and probably be bullish on is a pullback into these tops that it had back in like November, December, and here that we had back in June, early July. Like, those would be some good tops to probably be bullish on. So anything, I would say a pullback 190 and lower, you're probably going to be looking to be bullish on it. We might get that early next week, maybe Monday, with how bearish today kind of is. Monday, Tuesday might be that kind of day, especially if it happens like early in the day Tuesday. You're probably going to want to be bullish on that. But yeah, IWM looking pretty good on a breakout kind of this week. Dow Jones. Well, the past couple weeks, the Dow Jones really hasn't been doing fantastic, but UNH, which is the biggest weighting on the Dow, UNH, the stock, is up over 7% on earnings. So they crushed it. They did a really good job. They were up 2% on revenue. They're up 2.5% on the bottom line. So they did a really good job. And yesterday it was looking kind of dire as you're getting back down to this low of a gap down it had back on June 14th. So a month later, earnings kind of changing the tune there. So yeah, UNH is helping out the Dow big time today. That's the largest weighting on the Dow. So there you go. The Dow Jones getting lifted by UNH. Equal weight SP 500 very much looks like the IWM today. Nice little trade down, especially early on the first hour or so. Steadily kind of trying to climb back throughout the day from that low. But very much also similar on the daily picture. You had these tops here from November, December, that they kind of that the RSP hit in June and early July, and we did break above those tops this week. That's a big deal. So any kind of pullback to like 150.50, 150.50 or less, like, you're probably going to be met with more of a buy into that type of zone. So I would be looking to be bullish into that if it pulls back into that area. Probably like the IWM. Maybe it happens early next week. That would look really good. Transports are down today about 1%. That's interesting. They did really good in the month of July. They did really good in the month of June. Here, early July, they did also pretty well. Past 3 days, though, we're seeing some selling coming in on the Dow Jones transports. So we're getting into transport earnings season. We can look at some more airline stocks, see what's going on there. I know Delta had earnings yesterday. So, yeah, we'll see what's going on there. Fed Reserve balance sheet data did come out yesterday after the bell. Get rid of everything there. Boom. And it did tick higher 1.5%. Okay, so it went higher a little bit. First week in 5 weeks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks that it actually went higher week over week. So yeah, we'll have to see kind of what continues to happen here. Watching the Federal Reserve balance sheet data over the next coming weeks, because we have a huge discrepancy now. Like over the past 4 weeks, 5 weeks, like we were seeing the market kind of rally. Right, we were seeing the market rally, and we weren't really seeing the Fed continuing to support the market anymore. They were kind of peeling back, so we'll have to continue to watch that. VIX higher open earlier this week, and not too unexpected with CPI that came out this week on Wednesday. VIX though down to kind of the lows where it's been here over the past couple of weeks. Yeah, not too much kind of going on here. The thing that's kind of concerning, though, is how much the VIX has really moved lower. Like it's dramatically moved lower from like the 17-point level to the 13-point level, and it typically doesn't do that. That's the only thing that's kind of really weird about the VIX throughout history. When it kind of comes off the 17 level, it kind of takes its time to come through and come down, but it just kind of goes to show you that people are really changing their tune on the market. The dollar did the dollar get to 99.5? Yeah, it pretty much did. It got to 99.5. The reason why that's a big deal is it didn't quite get there. Yeah, not quite. What was this high back over here? It got close to 99.5. It gets to 99.578. So I mean, it's pretty much close to right there to 99.5. But that is where all these tops were back in Q1 of last March, March of 22. So the fact that it kind of got into that level, and that's kind of the level I was kind of mentioning as it broke down here a couple days ago. That's probably where you're going to look for the next bounce. And then you're going to look for a bounce probably back up into the 101 level, the bottom end of this kind of support line. And you're probably just going to be looking to take this bearish here over the next good bit, I'd imagine. And you got plenty of room of stops here. You can definitely even play it safe and put it above the end of May, early June high for a stop loss. And if it does reverse and keep going lower, then you can move your stop below here. But you're going to have plenty of room, a few levels to kind of mess around with. But if it starts to get back up over it, even if you do have your stop loss up here and it kind of consolidates before it pushes higher, it's one of those where if it comes back above the 101 level, maybe makes a run up into 102 and kind of consolidates sideways, you can move your stop down to this level right above these highs and say, hey, you know what? It doesn't look like it's going to continue lower, and it might, just might set up a fake out. So, yeah. Anyways, there's a few ways to kind of play it here, and I kind of like what I just talked about, putting it up here and then moving down if you kind of need be. All right, so that's $1. 10-year yields bouncing back a little bit. It's kind of interesting. Obviously, last week it broke out. This week it was breaking down pretty good. How's that weekly candle look? Ooh, the weekly trying to engulf last week. Ooh, that'll be interesting. So the rates are trying to engulf last week, yeah. Because let's see, that should be Thursday. Oh, that's okay. So that's Friday, and then yeah, obviously here's Monday, July 3rd. So it would need to get back above like 3.84, which not to say that it's horribly far away from there. But how does it might make a run. But yeah, you're definitely expecting to probably find some kind of supports here, as this was a pretty good distribution kind of consolidation area. Yeah, not much else to say about that. 10 and 2 inversion. Ooh, dropping off today. Okay, 10 and 2 inversion dropping off today. So what's the 2 year? So the 2 year yield is bouncing back pretty good. The interesting thing about the 10 and at least the 2 year yield, is it didn't really have as much of a consolidation here in the month of June like the 10 year did. It kind of it was more of a very steady rising time period for the 2 year, and it just kind of came back and retested into a previous high kind of peak, on kind of a move higher. It took out the high from March, and now it's pulled back into this previous top out at the end of May. So the 2 year, for the most part, is still making higher highs. Even though I know it had a pretty large pullback here back in March, but it's not like it's not moving higher. It's still kind of trending that direction, and honestly, it looks like it's having just a long term consolidation. Yeah, it looks like just a much longer term consolidation. I'd be a little skeptical here if rates start really climbing. Which we'll look at some other things. Maybe a lot of that has to do with consumers are feeling really good, and maybe inflation comes back. GLD and inflation comes back. Obviously, the Fed's going to keep raising rates, and if Fed keeps raising rates, the higher rates go, well, the more devalued equities get. And right now, I think the equity market's mostly anticipating at least pauses and rate cuts going into next year, or as we get into next year. And if we're not getting into an environment where we're getting, cuts, and we're getting back to an environment where we're raising rates again, what's that going to do with equities? So GLD not doing a whole lot of bullish things today. I mean, nice little gap down, trade a little bit higher. Not a whole lot going on here. Dollar bouncing ever so slightly. Gold's okay. So dollar and gold aren't really doing too much. That's all we need to know. HYG's coming back down. Very nice, strong, hard rip this week. Kind of had to figure it would hit a little bit of a pause. The very interesting thing about yesterday's move on the HYG is it did snag these highs from April, and one of the things I did say is you got to wait for this thing to clear out this high, not just come snag the highs. Like, you needed to get above these highs, like kind of like the IWM did, right? The IWM had these highs. It got above it. It very much cleared above it. If the next day, the IWM, like this day on July 11th, I guess on Tuesday this week, if the IWM would have come back below it, then the next day on Wednesday, yeah, I wouldn't have been trusting that. But yeah, this looks pretty good as on the breakout. Gaps doesn't matter. Yeah, there's a lot of things that don't matter in this market. How you doing, Allie? But yeah, nice little breakout higher. But yeah, looking for that pullback. But on the HYG though, the HYG just barely snagging these highs from back in April, or even the end of March. That it's not one that it cleared up over, maybe even retested into the lower parts of this area, and then came back for a retest, and then it's going to continue higher. It snagged those highs yesterday, and today it's dropping off pretty good. So we'll have to keep our eye on here. Now, it did make a pretty good run this week, so it might just get in here and consolidate a little bit before it pushes higher. If you do see some of that consolidation, and then it starts to look like it's going to push higher, then that would be okay. But we're going to have to see how it sets up here over the next few days, maybe in a couple of weeks. LQD, same kind of deal. Obviously, didn't get nearly as high as some of the historical price levels like back in April. But it did snag these tops that it had towards the end of June yesterday, but it has come back down. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see there as well. Same kind of mindset. TLT. Yeah, TLT snagged those lows back from March. I'd just be I'd just be waiting, kind of watching all three of them. HYG, LQD, TLT, kind of just get an idea of what's going on. HYG just kind of ran a lot this week. That I could see that thing consolidate a little bit longer before it pushed higher. Let me see if credit card. What I'm trying to figure out, credit cards, plastic, fantastic. I don't even what. This is an index. One of the things I'm actually kind of interested in finding credit card accounts. Well, maybe that's it. What I'm trying to figure out is delinquency rate on credit card loans. All right, very much interested. Okay, this is tracked every 3 months. It hit a low last 2 summers ago. It hit a low. It has jumped back up pre-COVID. It hasn't gotten back to the pre-COVID high, or not a pre-COVID high, but like basically the pre-COVID mark, I guess. Getting close there. One of the things I'm really kind of watching, I'm going to start to watch pretty heavily, though. There's about two things that I think that could really kind of derail the market. One of them is going to be consumer spending, which is a whole lot on credit cards right now, and debt. Just short-term debt, credit card stuff. So I'm going to continue to probably be watching credit cards going forward. Just credit card kind of type of information. But this looks like it's updated like every 3 months. I guess this data kind of comes out. So I don't know when. So I guess the last one was in January, which means they should have done one in April, but we don't have one in April. So I don't know when this information kind of comes out. So I don't know how to. I'll probably be checking out some sources to see how to track that kind of information. I guess United States debt balances, credit cards. It's so every 3 months, yeah, and we can see just '09 how high it was. Obviously, it dropped off pretty good. Ran up into COVID. Well, yeah, I mean COVID. Even though I know it's tracked every 3 months, so and then obviously you saw a drop off as a lot of people out of work, not able to spend money, that kind of stuff. But anyways, and then we've seen a huge run up, especially here recently, and we can actually see here it's actually flattened out. It didn't even go higher this last data point back in I guess the January data point. So who knows if this will keep going higher. But if it does but if credit card spending, if spending and tracking that kind of stuff, and a lot of it would probably be coming from credit card type information, I would imagine that wouldn't sit well with the market, as that would be a lot of investors are like, well, that's what's driving the market right now is consumer spending. That is what's driving the market right now. So if consumer spending stops or pauses or slows down, that might signal more of a topping of maybe economic activity. So we'll see. I have to look around, see if I can find consumer loans. Nah, that's not really what I'm interested in. So, anyways, I'll probably mess around with some of that, see if I can find. But it seems like a lot of the credit card stuff's only tracked every 3 months. So that's kind of a bummer. I was hoping to get like a monthly type read on that, but it's and I also don't even know when it comes out. So yeah, gonna have to check that out. Probably the other thing besides consumer spending is going to be corporate margins and I mean, you're only going to find out about that stuff during earnings season. And, well, we are at the very beginning of earnings season. So if companies say, hey, margins are good, we don't have much to worry about. Or if they come out and say, yeah, we see margin contraction going forward, well, that's going to be, I mean, that's going to be really bad for equities. Sorry. That'll be bad for equities as well. I mean, margins have a big deal towards the bottom line. And if they continue to have margin contraction like they did back in 2022, that could probably derail some of the bullishness on the market. So those are about the two things. And I think really for me, it's going to be more of the consumer spending. It'll be more of the consumer spending. And one of the things that might derail consumer spending would be banks not allowing consumers to continue to rack up debt. I mean, the financial companies, they have a very strong pulse on that. And if they start to have liquidity issues, especially from the commercial real estate market, then we could see them hit the pause button on how much credit they are giving out to people. If they get into liquidity issues on commercial real estate. So, anyways, that's just kind of what I'm kind of watching is kind of two, and then the other part to the credit card area is financial kind of conditions around commercial office space and real estate. So we're seeing some issues in some energies. So take a look here. So crude oil has moved pretty well over the past couple of weeks. Nice break of the trend, at least the trend lower on the near term. It's got a larger trend down. Today's price action looks pretty bearish, as looks like it's gonna form out a bearish engulfing candle for the day. Doesn't really mean a whole lot. I mean, you could try to play that on that the daily price action there, bearish. But since it cleared these highs, I mean, and it's above the moving averages, it might just be a retest into some of these levels around 94.5, and then continue push higher. So, yeah, it's one of those situations now where crude oil's in a gotta wait and see kind of what happens. Today's gap, good chance that it will be closed. Well, I think it already closed it. Yeah, I mean, it already closed it. Because we gapped up from yesterday's close right here. So we've already traded to this price level twice today, earlier in the day. If that's what you're kind of considering the gap, Ali. And then a little bit over an hour ago, it definitely traded well below the neutral line. So yeah, I mean we do have gaps lower. That's I was looking at. Oh, you're looking at Nasdaq. Okay, are you looking at the Qs or like the actual Nasdaq? Fair enough. Yeah, yeah, it probably will. It looks like it's about to break down the daily lows. So yeah, I would imagine it probably does that here next 10 minutes. I could see that happen here in the next 10, 20 minutes. I mean, that looks kind of bearish, getting below this low already. A little double hump there. Moving averages pushing it down now. SPY had a pretty good run. Seems like the Qs have now kind of taken place on some bearish activity here over the past hour. So yeah, I mean, I can see that happening. Filling that gap easily. Yeah. I do want to go run through. Okay, hold on. Let me go back to look at the energies real quick. So what's interesting here is the gasoline did not move as bullishly over the past couple of weeks. It did just kind of get into this little top out area where it's kind of topped out over the past month or so. So yeah, I don't know on gasoline there. It It doesn't mean it's bearish. Just came to a previous resistance area. But what's really kind of, ooh, yeah, crude oil, man. Crude oil got smacked. All right, no, I'm sorry, not crude oil. We know crude oil got smacked, but energy stocks got smacked today. Man, they got smacked. The open and high was the same penny. Whoa. Yeah, open and high is the same penny. You don't typically see shaved tops or bottoms on the open like that. So people obviously came in and sold Exxon immediately. And we'll go take a look at sector rotation. Let me just go through some of these oil and gas names real quick. Chevron, not looking the best either today, down a little bit, about 2.25%. ConocoPhillips. ConocoPhillips has been looking better than other oil and gas stocks, but I mean, it's not saving them today. They're down 2.7%. Marathon Oil down 3.7%. Marathon Refining is down a little bit over 1%. Valero down about 1.2%. Okay, so yeah, some of these energy stocks. Just go back to Exxon here. I kind of mentioned like I think it was this move right here. Like it just didn't look good coming back down. Mostly because when we came back down and we took this low and we bounced, that we came and took this high, this little peak on this move. It just seemed like now, and we came back down. You didn't want to see that. You kind of wanted to see it. You know, it was okay if it would have consolidated here and then pushed higher, but you didn't want to see it come back down. And I think that was about when I was like, yeah, you want to be trying to be bearish here on energies. And I remember this gap from 2 weeks ago. This was definitely one you want to be bearish on. But last week, yeah, earlier this week, it just kind of moved it moved a lot higher than what I thought it would. And, but we were definitely breaking these lows. And I definitely remember saying, like, this will be the next zone to get to, about 99. That's where it's been and gotten to before. Yeah. I know a lot of market professionals. They talk about being bullish on energies, and I don't know why. Honestly, I know they haven't performed well really over the past decade, but oil and gas, like legacy energies, I just don't. I don't like them all that much. I really don't. Just not my long term play. I don't like them. I would actually like to invest in the S&P 500 without the energy component. I would take all the other stocks, just non-oil and just extrapolate and remove out oil and gas energy stocks. I would actually really like to invest in that. I don't think that exists. I don't think that ETF exists. Maybe I should get into making my own ETFs. APL. Okay, yeah. APL doing bad things today. Down. It's negative. Yeah, it's been kind of flat. I know over the past week, really this week, we got below this upward trend line, and I kind of mentioned like, hey, it's going to ride up under the bottom side of it for a little bit. So it definitely did the middle part of this week, but it wasn't strong, especially when you compare it to the Qs. The Qs, very strong the middle part of this week, like Wednesday, Thursday, even today, pretty strong. AAPL not strong. Like it was up those days, but it isn't. It's not. You can tell it's just not the same kind of strength. Alex says Microsoft making new all-time high. Did it get there? So they got an upgrade today. Let's see. So it did get to 351.43. Yeah, 43.47. It missed it by 5 cents. It missed the intraday all-time high by 4 cents. It missed it by 4 cents, tying it by 4 cents. But it relatively got close. Yeah, I mean it got pretty close. Microsoft was definitely the better performer on the day on as far as big tech goes because they did get an upgrade, and it was a pretty large upgrade. I think it was from UBS. Let me scroll down here. Boom, 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 boom. Where are you at? FTC. Saw it this morning. UBS. Yeah. Update. UBS upgrades Microsoft to buy from neutral. UPS. Oh, ups price target from to 400 from 345. Yeah. So, um, whoops. I didn't want to open. I didn't want to open that. So yeah, Microsoft catching a pretty big upgrade today. I'd be curious to see what their rationale is, but I don't think I'm gonna care that much. Corey, what up, brother? How you doing, man? What up, brother? Hope all is well. Probably chop the rest of the day and watch this be bought up next week. My Nvidia call went from 10 cents to 175. Nice. Last week, Morgan Stanley upgrades to 425. Yeah, it's. Man, we're seeing some bearishness come in today. Ooh, Nvidia. This is the top out day on Nvidia. Look at the volume come in today. Corey, good thing you sold out those calls, bud. I mean, look at the volume throughout the day. Much larger than all the previous days. Much larger. And you can kind of tell this is like blue, lightly blue shaded or gray shaded area. This is that moving average. And you can tell the big hump that you got here is well above a lot of the previous days. I'll just zoom out here. And I mean, it's going all the way back to. I'm just trying to get an eyeball here. Like, it's all the way back to kind of like the gap up high, kind of like moving average volume there. There was a couple days here around June 15th where it was kind of making it, had a lot of volume coming in. I could see Nvidia being done for a while. I don't think I would want to be playing this bullish anymore. That's a lot of volume that's coming in today. But good on you, Corey, man. Good for you. 10 cents to $1.75, man. That's a nug or two. That's some good stuff. Let's do this. I'm gonna run through the big tech. So Apple here over the past 15 has gotten hit pretty good. They were getting hit early. Man, Apple just hasn't been performing, especially like late last week, early this week, just hasn't been performing all that great. And if you're trying to be non-bullish on the market, looking for the next dip buy opportunity on the market, you're wanting AAPL to die, just because of the weight it has on the market. That's about the only reason. They're not going to go. They won't. They ain't going out of business. I ain't saying that. I'm just saying, like, the stock price, you're wanting it to kind of die off. Microsoft, we did look at. Just run back through here. IV Crush is real. I had a JPM call that was up, even with a beat, and went red. Oh yeah. Yeah, you can only do. I only do earnings with verticals, right? And that is why is the IV Crush. That is the only reason. Did JPM have earnings this morning? Is that what's going on? It doesn't seem like they moved a whole lot. I'll get to them here in a sec, but let me just run through big tech. So Microsoft obviously got the upgrade, traded higher, and it's come back down. It's still, it just had a large gap up. That's what's holding it up. Alphabet, great. Alphabet ran a little bit higher today. Obviously, it had a nice strong move yesterday off of some new Bard features. Would still be bearish here compared to a lot of other stocks out there. Unless, yeah, I think I was just still rather be bearish here. Alphabet though. Yeah, yeah. Um, let's see here. So that's Alphabet. Amazon. Amazon ran bullish this morning. A lot of things did coming back down. Have a nice little upper wick. All right. Meta's the one, man. Meta's probably the second one I would be looking for bearish, just because it's ran so much from really the November bottom, the beginning of the year. It has ran so much. To me, there's a pretty good opportunity here that it has a pretty steep and prolonged kind of pullback over a good time period here. Yeah, this would be the second one I'd be watching. So obviously not having a good day today. It gapped down, traded a little bit higher, kind of more sideways, but falling off here over the past 45 minutes or so. Pretty strong. Okay, pretty well. What about Netflix? I don't really consider them big tech anymore, but hey, ooh, they're down 1.8%. Wow, they got hit really over the past 15 minutes. They dropped off pretty sharp. How long of a drop that was? Like 10 minutes. They dropped off 0.75%. Jeez. Okay. So Netflix not feeling it either. Kind of getting hit a little bit. What about is that pretty much it? We did look at Nvidia. Yeah. What about AMD? Man, a lot of volume coming in there on Nvidia. AMD seeing a lot of volume today. A lot of volume. Look at all that volume that was coming in this morning. First hour. Jeez. Oh my goodness, look at that huge, massive upper wick on AMD. My goodness. Look at all that volume too. That's a lot of volume. A lot of volume on a huge upper wick like that. That is not a good sign. I ain't calling no tops because I've been spewing that bull crap for months now, and I'm just gonna shut my mouth on it. Just how it goes, man. Just how it goes. Spy drilling. New low of day, huh? Okay. We'll get back there in a sec. So that's AMD. Man, is that all the big tech stuff? Microsoft, Apple, Nvidia, Meta, Alphabet, Amazon, Tesla. There we go. Tesla's up 0.75%. Did it make another high here? Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did. Barely. It barely did today. That was a look intraday. So a nice little gap down there on Tesla, kind of choppy at the start, and then made a nice little run into the middle part of the day. And it looks like it's starting to come back down. Does it have crazy volume? Nah, it doesn't really have crazy volume today. A lot of other names having a lot of crazy volume today. Tesla's not one of them. It did go through a period of crazy volume, kind of on this run up back over here in June, late May, June. But not really. Today's not. I mean, it's kind of coming down from its really crazy high volume time period. All right, so let's check out that SPY. You said hitting low of day, not quite. It got close. Q's filled that gap, and it basically did it in that like 10 to 20 minute time period. Yep. Boom. Filled the gap, and then that's where it's getting a little bit of that bounce action. Yeah, you can see it hit that low point or that neutral line, basically like right there, and then there's some buyers sitting there. We'll see if they hold it. But SPY though, yeah, it's interesting. Let me zoom out to 3 minutes. Let's take a look at sector rotation before I forget to do this. So we got some really wide discrepancies on the market across some of the sectors today on the market. We got energies are massively losing. They are really losing. We did see that. Crude oil's down. A lot of energy stocks are down pretty good. Communications also underperforming, as well as financials and materials. Industrials are also underperforming. Real estate and tech are kind of in line with the market. As well as utilities. Okay. Yeah, utilities is also mixed in there with real estate and tech. Let's see. Discretionaries is slightly outperforming, as well as staples and healthcare. So it's definitely a little bit more of the risk off rotation going on today, especially with how much healthcare names are getting bought up today. And we saw that with UNH on their earnings. They did a really good job. People apparently liking what's going on there. Micron had a pop today, but giving it back. Micron, MU, where are you at? Where are you at, dude? All right. So the other day, yeah, the sectors were all jacked up on the SP 500. So I guess they fixed that. I don't know what happened, what they did, what they changed, but where's Micron? MU, where are you at? Where are you at, MU? I mean, I'm just gonna go to the stock here in a sec, but are they not in the SP 500? Maybe they're not. Okay. Thought they were. Really? Are they really not? I think they're in the Dow, or they used to be in the Dow. Micron, anyways. Yeah. Oh yeah. Uh, they had some weird pop like an hour ago for 10 minutes. You see this weird pop up, and then it's just kind of come back down. It did open. It did gap down a little bit. I can see it over here on the left side of the screen. It did gap down a little bit. It was trading lower. Then something happened. What? Did, there was some kind of news event, but it's not here in the feed. It's just not there in the feed. Okay. Oops. SPX. There we go. I'm gonna get back to doing this. So without the gap, let's see how price action is without the gap. Healthcare still performing pretty well in the day. Energies are underperforming. Financials underperforming. Communications and tech are underperforming. So tech's actually seeing a good amount of weakness during the day because actually it was outperforming pretty good. You can see here in the middle of the morning, they were actually tech was actually outperforming. So you can see that rotation throughout the day. Tech has been getting sold off. Materials underperforming in line with the markets. Industrials outperforming is discretionary, real estate, utilities, and staples. So the three defensive sectors, risk off sectors, are actually outperforming pretty good today. Okay. On the intraday price action. Okay. Okay. Excuse me. A minute. And see what Micron looks like. Yeah. Something happened here. And what's funny is it just bounced up to this resistance, support and resistance line. It just rejected off of that. Yeah, I'm curious what happened there. Intel's down 1.75% roughly. Okay. All right. Fair enough. What else is moving today? Anything crazy moving? Financials are not looking good. There's a lot of red there in financials. Oh yeah, you mentioned J.P. Morgan. They did have earnings, right? Yeah, they did. See what level they got up to. Yeah, you kind of got a lot of these like lower, kind of like support levels back late 2021, early 2022. Well, actually, all throughout 2021, and it just kind of came into this area, right? Where it's kind of bouncing in this area, bounced off it again, and now it just kind of hit it. So I'll leave that line there. Seems like it's a pretty important zone. Yeah. Yeah. There might be a lot of profit taking kind of going on right now in the market, especially like tech looks like a lot of profit taking going on right now. Getting like any good pop, and they're just a lot of people are just like, yeah, I think I'm done. I'll go buy some discount names or something. because that's kind of what we see getting bought up today. Like the utilities are getting bought up today, and they've been doing okay here the past couple of weeks. Past couple of months, not doing all that great, but the past couple of weeks starting to do better. Healthcare, healthcare is another area that hasn't really been doing good at the beginning of the year, but ever since kind of late May, starting to get a little bit more going for, it, especially today. Also, UNH doing pretty good there with earnings, and then XLP, yeah, dipped into this golden box area a few times. This is where you definitely want to be your buyer, a buyer, long term buyer there. Um, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. So all three. Oh my gosh, dude! AT&T snagging all of these lows today. What is going on here, man? AT&T, Eller Telecom stocks sink in wake of Wall Street Journal investigation on toxic lead cables. Ericsson and Nokia warning triggers broad selling in telcos and network stocks. Wow. Okay. AT&T. Uh, I'd have a hard time believing they're going to go bankrupt, but I mean they're getting so heavily discounted, like sold off now. It's like, my gosh, how much lower can you go? Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, I couldn't try to be bearish on that. But Verizon also same kind of boat. T-Mobile US. T-Mobile's actually hasn't been doing bad. Um, okay. Yeah, wow. Telecoms, they're just getting annihilated. They're getting annihilated, man. Um, man, that's really all I got. I don't really have a whole lot. Let me know if there's something you guys want to look at. I'll run back through the market. Qs, we saw an early push. Oh yeah, hold on. What was? Well, I'll cover this here in a sec. Consumer sentiment survey came out today, and really that was kind of interesting because about that same time, I mean, we were already seeing the market was bullish, and it didn't push much higher. Really, the S&P 500 really didn't. The SPY, the Qs pushed a little bit higher, not too much, and then the market kind of started to sell off. When we get a correction in this market, man, who knows? I don't know. I don't know. I really don't. I'm just gonna sit here and wait, see what happens here for the next couple months, probably into early next year, and then I mean, hopefully we do see a correction over the next 6 to 9 months. Um, but yeah, I'm not really kicking myself for missing that opportunity, but I think there was more shenanigans that was going on in the marketplace. Definitely more shenanigans that was going on in the marketplace, especially when March happened and we saw the real estate issue or financial regional banking issue. Like, I don't know, it seemed like regulators stepped in too much, in my opinion. That should have been the moment that probably tanked the market, but it didn't. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Qs though. Kind of at the daily lows. It did fill the gap. IWM sold off pretty good to start the day. I would look for probably a dip buying opportunity on the IWM early next week, probably like Monday, Tuesday. Probably as it pulls into these highs around 189, 189.50. I'd just be looking bearish, bullish. I'd be looking bullish there. The DIA, the Dow Jones, looked pretty strong this week. Very strong, actually. Start the week, Monday, Tuesday, even Wednesday. Continuing higher a little bit today with UNH on earnings. So not doing horrible there. DIA, the Dow Jones. Looking pretty strong here, but it needs to be breaking out soon. If not, it's going to start fading out, and it'll come back down. It'll come back down really hard. So it needs to be breaking out soon. Like we're seeing breakouts on the RSP, the equal weight SP 500, and the IWM, but we're not seeing it on the Dow Jones. Same thing here on the RSP. Like I said about the IWM, it broke out above these tops from November, December, June, early July. Got above them. I'd be looking for a pullback into those tops around the 150, 155, 150 to 150 area, and I'd just be bullish. Yeah, I'd be bullish on a pullback. Qs, I don't know. I couldn't justify a pullback bullishness for a while. Like it would be a while, maybe even all the way down to like 330 or so. Yeah, interact maybe with this high back here. I got nothing. I'm gonna be really curious to see what these tech companies reported earnings. And really, I'm gonna be curious to see what their margins are like. SPY though, well, it's flat right now, so I don't know. We'll see. I don't really want to play anything bullish. I don't really want to play anything bearish. I'm just kind of waiting, patient. We'll see what happens, what develops. Federal Reserve balance sheet data did tick higher week over week, went up 1.5%. VIX has dropped off pretty good throughout the week. Opened higher earlier this week with implied volatility, opened it higher with inflation data coming out Wednesday, and traded a little bit lower today. Dollar dropped off quite sharply this week. It did pull in really close to that mid 90, like 99.50 type area. Got really close to kind of these tops that it had back in March of 2022, and found a little bit of a bounce. So any kind of bounce up into 101 type of area, where basically the line is, you're probably just going to be met with sellers or bearish activity. But I would definitely expect a retest up into that area and then just taking it bearish. 10-year yield fell off pretty much every day this week except for today. As far as this goes, I really, really do not know. The 2-year yield is even looking. It's not even looking bearish really. It looks like it's just pulled back. So you take a look here at the 2-year yield. It didn't even have that consolidation in June like the 10-year yield did. It just kind of gradually pushed higher. It took the high from March. It pulled back to the previous kind of high that had in late May yesterday, and then it bounced in today. So I mean, it doesn't really set up to be bearish. It just looks like, hey, it took a high, it pulled back, and it's setting up for a continuation. I mean, it could definitely reverse because it moved pretty far away, came and took a top, and that's typically where you want to see a reverse on a long sustained run like that. Come take a top and then it reverses. Happens all the time, but you can see here the 10 and 2 inversion. That 2-year yield is strong today, super strong. That's why you're seeing a huge drop off there in the 10 and 2 inversion. Gold, GLD, not doing a whole lot today. Dollar's not really doing a whole lot, even though the dollar traded a little bit lower. It did bounce. HYG dropped off pretty good today. What I don't like here about the HYG, kind of what I was just mentioning about that 2-year yield, that it moved pretty far and it took a top and it came back down. The same kind of deal here with HYG. It took these tops from April this week and it moved pretty far. Like it was down at the lower ends to start the week, kind of where it's been in the past several months. So yeah, this week it moved pretty far. So yeah, I don't know. But yeah, dropped off pretty good today. So either this is a retest and it's going to push higher, or it came and snagged these tops and that was just like a liquidity type snag, and now it's going to move back into the bearish direction. So it's going to take some days to maybe even a couple of weeks to see how that develops. Same kind of deal here with the LQD, just not as it didn't get as obviously nearly as high. Did snag these highs from the end of June and has pulled back. So we'll have to see kind of how that sets up going forward. But I'm still just going to be hands off. I don't mind helping, answering questions, whatever you guys want to do, portfolio rebalance or allocation opinions, whatever. But I'm not looking to be bullish on really anything right now. Goldman Sachs got a nice little gap up from the JP Morgan as well. Bank of America, nice gap up. Bank of America's down about 1 3/4. All right. Wells Fargo also had earnings, gapped up, traded lower, kind of at the lower ends of the day. Okay. Morgan Stanley, gap up, traded lower. It's down about 0.5%. BlackRock, gapped up, traded lower. It had earnings also, down about 1.5%. Nice little gap up. Bearish engulfing candle. And Blackstone. Blackstone's like the only financial company that looks like it's doing well today. Citigroup. Oh my god. Oh, Citi had earnings. Dang, they moved a lot. Look at that, man. They had a pretty good gap up, but they sold off pretty hard. They're down over 3%. Jeez. Yeah, that's a move. So yeah, I mean we'll see. What's the KRE doing? KRE, nice little gap up, trading lower. KBE, same kind of deal as the KBE. KBE is down 2%. So we're getting into earnings season, and we're seeing some selling already. So be curious to see kind of what happens the rest of the earnings season. Obviously, get all the sleep you can next week, because the week after, that is going to be tech week and FOMC week. So yeah, it's gonna be a busy week. 2 weeks, it's gonna be busy. Next week, get all the sleep you can, because 2 weeks, it's gonna be busy. Alpha Hunters, have a great weekend. Take care. Enjoy having you here. Enjoy the conversation as always. Talk to y'all next week. Alrighty, take care, Alpha Hunters.